Hello, dear viewer, it's me, your DoorDash driver. I'm outside with your food. I'm dangerously low on ideas, so I've turned the microphone to my viewers today. I asked my viewers for their favorite album of all time, and today I'm going to rank them based on how good of an answer I think that is. I asked them on this YouTube post, so if you want to participate in the future, I don't know, maybe subscribe. I mean, only if you really want to. I don't want to pressure you, but I'd appreciate it. And then you can vote in the polls and stuff, only if you want to, though. Now, this isn't necessarily a ranking solely based on the quality. I also consider how cool I think you are based on your pick. That's all, really. Do note that within the tiers is not in order. I'm just throwing shit in there. So let's get started, shall we? Chris Thomas 5007 says, "And Justice for All" by Metallica. He says, "Open my eyes to what real music can be." Well, I'll tell you what, Chris, this album opened my eyes, but not quite in the same way. It opened my eyes to how important production is on an album. This album may actually be the peak of Metallica in terms of songwriting and perhaps even lyrically. But the production holds this shit back to almost uncomfortable levels. I'll give you a good answer here, but I can't give you much more. Daydream Day says, "Ants from Up There" by Black Country New Road. This is a great answer. This album is phenomenal. I've talked about it a couple times on this channel, but this is seriously one of the best albums released in the last decade or so, I'd say. Really great project top to bottom, very cohesive, though I do feel like this might be the safest answer you can give in the Big 25. I'm still going to give this a great answer, though. Aaron Sky Plays Guitar says, "Around the Fur" by Deftones. I fuck with this answer, Aaron. Wouldn't be my answer, and to be completely frank, I'm not sure this is even a top 3 Deftones album, but any Deftones album is a good answer. I take that back, actually. Fuck Gore. And fuck Ohms, too. And Adrenaline, I'll let you pass. I like this album a lot, though. Great answer. Ellie YouTube says, "Bat Out of Hell" by Meatloaf. This one I don't think I can get behind, actually. I'm not incredibly familiar with the Loaf, but I don't think this is the bee's knees, per se. Good enough album, I'd give it a thumbs up, but as your favorite album ever? I'm not so sure. I'm going to give this a decent answer. But I like this album. Spacey_GD says, "By the Way" by the Red Hot Chili Peppers. You son of a bitch. Is it one of the better Chili Pepper albums? Yeah, but that doesn't make it a good album. It's got Chili Pepper syndrome, which is like 2 or 3 good songs paired with inexplicable garbage for the remainder of the project. I, of course, am known for not being a huge fan of the Chili Peppers. This is, of course, due to Anthony Kiedis' quote, "troubling sexual history." And when I say troubling, I mean he's a pedophile, and he admitted that shit in his own book. Wild stuff. I'm actually insulted by your answer. The Great Landini says, "City of Evil" by Avenged Sevenfold. I'll give this a decent answer. Nothing more and potentially less. I'm not a huge fan of this artist, but I don't even think this is one of their best albums. A couple great songs in here, but there's some songs that will seriously have me in bed with a warm glass of milk and a hat with a fuzzy ball in my head. Decent answer. Ash the Wolf 8811 says, "Core" by Stone Temple Pilots. Ash the Wolf 8811, I fuck with you, big dog. I'd dap you up, given the opportunity. Maybe even a nice big hug. Is it the best album ever made? Certainly not, and I don't even think even the biggest Core fan would argue that. But fuck, is this just the most fun shit ever? I fuck with this answer a lot. One of my personal favorite albums ever. Just very underrated grunge album. This is a phenomenal answer. 1K Deer says, "Deliverance" by Corrosion of Conformity. This is good, I guess. I enjoyed this album, but that's pretty much all I have to say. It didn't really impact me more than that. I'll say decent answer. Russell U90 says, "Disintegration" by The Cure. Now look, I like to be miserable as much as the next guy, but I don't think I can give this the coveted phenomenal answer. Ludicrously good album, and I can respect this answer, but I do what I want, and Love Song has given me so much trauma that I'm not taking it out on people like Russell. Great answer. Pebblehead111 says, "Heaven or Las Vegas" by the Cocteau Twins? Cocteau Twins? Cocteau Twins? Hold up. His writing is this fire? Well, her writing, but there's no thumbnail for that. This is excellent. I'm fairly new to the dream pop genre, but I'm a huge Fishman's fan, and this gave me an incredibly similar vibe to their stuff. Except, of course, I could actually understand what the fuck they were saying. This is a phenomenal answer. Good shit. Pebblehead111. Robbie H says, "Hot Rats" by Frank Zappa. Firstly, any fan of Wallace is a friend of mine. Secondly, and perhaps more importantly, this is a phenomenal album. Really strange shit, but liking strange shit is kind of cool. So you're pretty cool. I do feel far smarter as a Frank Zappa fan than I did before listening to this, so do with that what you will. Great answer. Go.6655 says, "In This World" by Sasquatch. I fuck with the Jiren profile picture, big dog. I feel like I need eyeliner to fully immerse myself in this project. This sounds like what people think My Chemical Romance is. It's not a bad album. I enjoy this quite a bit, but I don't think I'd put it up there with my personal favorites. No way. Good answer. Master Uguay1236 says, "Lateralis" by Tool. Master Uguay1236, truly, you and I are one and the same. Well, exclusively in this way, but this is my favorite album ever. I have to give this a phenomenal answer or admit that I could possibly maybe be wrong. That's just not true. Art Staring at You says Leviathan by Mastodon. Pretty cool cover art, though you guys have made it blatantly clear I have no idea what I'm talking about in that regard. This album is good, bordering on great, I'd say, but not much more than that. A cool answer, the band name is cool, the cover is cool, the title is cool. This is cool, but I'm not sure it's a great pick. Good answer. Zen Solos 1907 says Lift Your Skinny Fists Like Antennas to Heaven by Godspeed You Black Emperor. I mean, this is one of the greatest albums ever recorded. That's all I really have to say. I'm only going to give this great answer due to the inaccessibility of this record. It's a really great album, but I can't just throw this shit on and start getting groovy. You know what I mean? I'm not sure when I'm supposed to listen to this, and it kind of confuses me. Great answer. Cuphead186X says Mer de Noms by A Perfect Circle. I can't back you up here, Cuphead186X. Of the Maynard projects, A Perfect Circle is my second favorite, but probably the group I find the least interesting. It's just kind of Maynard doing pretty generic rock stuff. I like the album, but I can't see it as a favorite of mine. It's also got some real stinkers on it. Undeniably so, I'd say. Decent answer. Pancake Tank says Food by MF Doom. I don't actually believe you, Pancake Tank. I'm not buying it, buddy. I listened to this album, and it's one of the greatest hip-hop albums ever. But I listened to Mad Villainy, and it feels like the better project in every single way. This is a good answer. But I've got my eye on you, buddy. Astral Rat says Nevermind by Nirvana. Get a load of this guy, am I right, dear viewer? We've got a real oddball here. No, I mean, as basic as an answer this is, it's basic for a reason. Excellent album. It's not my favorite grunge record, but probably the best Nirvana album, I'd say. This is a great answer. Adam Johnson says Nonagon Infinity by King Gizzard and the Lizard Wizard. This is a great answer. Really good album and a pretty niche pick, I think, which definitely makes you seem cooler than that Nirvana guy. I'm just fucking around, but this is a really good album. I like this answer, Adam. I'm going phenomenal here. Whatever the fuck this guy's name is says Operation Mindcrime by Queensryche. Oh yeah, this shit fucks. A super similar vibe to STP's Core, I'd say. It's not masterfully written, it's not experimental, it's not even all that unique. But fuck is this fun. I love this answer. It feels authentic. I believe you. It's just a good metal record, you know? Great answer, but damn close to phenomenal. Yard Swift the Bunk says Overkill by Motorhead. This didn't really do much for me. I like the title track a lot, but not much else really stuck with me at all. Decent tier. Alive in the Super Unknown 1 says Ride the Lightning by Metallica. Let me read that to you again. Alive in the Super Unknown 1 says his favorite album is Ride the Lightning. Okay, man, I'm going to go good answer here. I don't think it's Metallica's best album. I think Master of Puppets just kind of blows us out of the water. But this is still an excellent album. Good answer. Gabriel Loves Rock says Siamese Dream by the Smashing Pumpkins. A classic Gabriel W here. I'm not sure if that's the case. We're not that close, but I like this answer a lot. It's one of my favorite albums ever. I find the Pumpkins a bit underrated among the Zoomers, but man, this album, top to bottom, it's nearly flawless. Phenomenal answer. Transcendial Calamity 2543 says Siren Song of the Counterculture by Rise Against. I mean, it's alright. I don't get it. I don't think. Some pretty generic punk rock, I thought. Not much more than that. I don't think I can get behind this one. Decent answer. Rarebats 5316 says Songs in the Key of Life by Stevie Wonder. It's a phenomenal answer. I have no jokes. This is just one of the greatest albums ever. Rekaz says The Black Parade by My Chemical Romance. Rek, can I call you that? This is a monster W, and I don't want anyone to tell you otherwise. Incredible album that gets incredibly disrespected, kind of due to its fan base. It's the My Hero Academia of music, dare I say. That was a bad example. That show's not that good, but I like this answer a lot. Phenomenal answer. General Rye Guy 4532 says The Glowing Man by The Swans. I'm newer to Swans music, and to be frank, I'm not listening to this 2-hour project right now. This video has to come out tomorrow, or terrible things will happen. But if it's as good as this band's peak, which these Album of the Year hooligans seem to think, then this is an incredible answer. I'm going to give it phenomenal. Spencer Rather 688 says The Great Southern Trendkill by Pantera. This is a textbook good answer in my eyes. I'm not the biggest Pantera fan, but this is probably my favorite album from them, I'd say. I can get behind this, but I think there's a couple bands that kind of just do this style of music better. I'm not providing examples. What are you going to do about it? Good answer. Dogman5829 says The New Abnormal by The Strokes. I'll give you this one, Dogman5829. It's not my favorite The Strokes album, but it's a phenomenal rock record, and one of the better ones in the last decade, for sure. I can get behind this. Great answer. HGT OZ6VY says The New Sound by Jordy Greep. I'm going to have to break the news to you guys. I don't think this is that good of a record. I'd give it a solid 8 out of 10. I think it's a very unique record. I enjoyed a couple songs here, but I don't think it's consistent enough to call it a favorite of mine. But I respect this pick, I'd say. Good answer. The Charming Man 00 says The Stone Roses, self-titled record. This I enjoyed a lot. This is a good pick. I feel pretty cool after hearing this album. I can't imagine how cool you feel with this as your favorite. Big fat win for you, sir. You put me on the ball today. Phenomenal answer. Tactical Production says The Wall by Pink Floyd. I've never really understood this answer, to be honest with you. I listen to most of Pink Floyd's discography at this point, and they're undeniably one of the greatest bands of all time, but I don't think that status is built on the back of the wall. This is a great record, but it's kind of an afterthought for me in their discography. I like Dark Side more than this. I like Wish You Were Here more than this. I like Animals more than this. I like Metal more than this. Good answer because it's Pink Floyd, but it could have been better. CDOMS5356 says Toxicity by System of a Down. Humongous monster-sized W for this guy. I'm not going to try and say his name again. You saw how that went. This is either my favorite or second favorite metal record ever. It's a popular album, but rightfully so. Man, I love this shit. Phenomenal answer. SwansFan8180 says Trout Mask Replica by Captain Beefheart. You may have noticed an empty tier towards the bottom of this list, but don't fear, I'd never waste space on your precious screen, dear viewer. I listened to this album, and all I was left with, truly, were the words, what the fuck? Is this good? Is it bad? I have no fucking idea. What the fuck is my response. Sir KW the 73rd says Voodoo by D'Angelo. I don't know, man. Great answer. Huntero41 says The White Album by Weezer. I mean, I guess. I'm not a huge Weezer guy, but this wouldn't be the album I'd pick from them. No way. I think they have a couple projects just better than this, but at the very least, it's a unique answer. I respect it. Good answer. Meaton says, when the pawn hits the conflicts, he thinks like a king what he knows, throws the blows when he goes to the fight, and he'll win the whole thing, for he enters the ring. There's no body to batter when your mind is your might. So when you go solo, you hold your own hand, and remember that depth is the greatest of heights, and if you know where you stand, then you know where to land, and if you fall, it won't matter, 'cause you'll know that you're right. Fiona Apple. That took me 3 tries. I'm out of time. Great answer. Jackson Ammon says White Pony by Deftones. I'd dap you up too, Jackson. This is an answer I might give if I were afraid to intellectually terrorize whoever I was talking to with Lateralis. I love this album a lot. One of the most unique records I've ever heard. The peak of this band comfortably. Phenomenal answer. Toxic Felony 2505 says you'd prefer an astronaut by Hum. Another pretty great answer. Severely underrated album from a severely underrated band. Inspired a lot of my favorite bands, this record. This is a great answer. No doubt in my mind. M Vigilant 1 says You're Living All Over Me by Dinosaur Jr. And we wrap it up with another super good answer. This album is also severely underrated. I'm fairly new to Dinosaur Jr., but I like this project a lot. Another great answer, I'd say. That's all for me. I'm out of time. I'll do more of these if they do well. Give me some suggestion questions too if you'd like. Thank you very much for watching. Subscribe if you think music is cool. And I hope to see you in the next one. Peace.